morning, it's Angela here in Wales, UK. Today I'm going to show you how to do a watercolour sketch out in the Welsh countryside. There'll be lots of tips and guidance to help you on the way. Links to my previous video in where I looked at composition and colour mixing, and today we'll be looking at brush techniques. It's a cold, frosty autumn day today, so make sure that you wrap up warm and wear suitable clothing, particularly warm shoes and a hat. If you can't keep warm, you can't paint. Nice and warm, let's get going.
Let's make our way and find a good spot to do some painting from. It's always something interesting to see when you go out for a walk in the countryside. Beautiful foliage, autumn leaves on the trees, little tracks made by horses and sheep. Always adds interest. Rolling smoke from the chimney tops adds interest, as well as gives a sense of there being people at home and life in an environment. It's a good opportunity to look for those little extra details that can make a painting more vibrant and realistic. Scotch pine cones in the trees, reflections in the water.
Okay, I'm just through the pathway, heading up the hill. Bit of a steep climb, as per usual, but it's worth the view when you get there.
Remember, if a painting is going to be autumn scene, colours are very important, particularly looking at these beautiful red russets of the old bracken as it dies down for the winter, and leaves and grasses that have faded to the autumn ochres and browns.
Okay, I've just arrived here on the side of the mountain. I'm on the east side of the valley, so the sun has risen just to my right. It's quite low in the sky because it's autumn. Obviously it's going to come around depending on how long I've been here. So we're going to be dealing with the sun mainly coming from the left side if we're looking towards the north. I've got a couple of areas I'm interested in, and I'll just show you now.
We have a variety of trees here and good specimens we could use for our painting, such as sycamore, hawthorn, birch and may. And here we have, right on cue, a nice little squirrel searching through an ash tree. It's very important at this point in the process of taking in the scene before you when you've arrived on the location. It's Very tempting to quickly go into setting up and doing your painting, but it's important to just take in the view for at least 5 minutes before you determine where you're going to set up your easel and the scene that you're going to recreate. I've chosen a scene that's very dear to my heart, of the reservoir and the mountains in the background, Cornview and Penavan, and obviously the trees here frame the scene beautifully. So that's my sketch for today, and now's the time to just crack on. It's an observation of colour and brush techniques, so we're not too worried about the finish, because remember, it's going to be a sketch. Generally, I would use a pencil to sketch, maybe a soft 2B pencil to create my initial sketch. I'm using a ballpoint pen here just so that the camera can pick it up easily for you to see how roughly I'm sketching it in. No major details, just a quick outline and a suggestion. Don't worry if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, it's just your sketch. The sketch is really just a suggestion, as I said, and we start mark making, and we've got some close-ups here. It's just a combination of dashes, zigzags, spots, dots, quite rough marks, just to suggest where objects are within the scene. I've applied a layer of water to the sky area, leaving some dry streaks in between. The water will help the paint absorb into the paper with a diffused finish, which is what a sky is, rather than a sharp, hard, lined, coloured area. I'm using a number 6 round sable brush. It's particularly good because it holds a lot of water, also comes to a very fine point, and generally I will use this all through my painting, particularly when it's just a sketch. I don't want a lot of detail. Sometimes I'll use a flat brush also. I use the tip of the brush if I want a thin line area. I'll use it in a horizontal manner across the sky. Then I'll use the flat broad side of the brush, giving more surface area for the paint to land on. And I'll also turn the brush on the side as well to create a more even spread of a couple of colours together. I was moving the watercolour paper and pad around just to make sure that the paint was flowing in the right direction. I wasn't quite happy with the strength of colour in the sky, so here I've mixed up a little bit more of the blue tones, which I will be putting across the top of the sky, just out of shot unfortunately, but it will come back into the view of the camera shot. Small short dabby movements with the tip of the brush are very good for creating the effects of trees in the distance in a mass. You can change the colours as you go along. Very good for creating that distant foliage look without painting in every single tree. I've quickly changed here to a flat chisel end or square type brush. This is because I'm working in the water area, which is very thin horizontal strokes, and I'll have more control over the flow of paint for this particular shape. Turning the painting upside down helps the paint run in the direction you want it to run. My techniques here is I've added dabs of paint and then I put some water on top to help those merge, so you get an intensity of colour, but you also get a faded colour in between, and that's quite a useful tip. Here I'm allowing the brush with the paint to dance across the paper in horizontal movements, lifting the brush as I go to create the illusion of pine trees. I've mixed quite an intense colour here. I'm using the same brush techniques of horizontal strokes for the pine trees. I'll soften it with a bit of water if I think the colour is a little bit too intense for the area that I've got it in. Not only are the colours getting stronger at this point, but they're also getting more vibrant. Remember, it's an autumn sketch, and the colours are extremely vivid and bright. We're using purples, reds, yellows, blues, vivid greens, and these all help to make an interesting finish to the work. Not only do I use the standard part of the brush with the bristles, but I will also very often use the back part of the handle of the brush to scratch into the paint, or maybe I'll dip it into the paint to add some very thin lines and suggestions of twigs and rough foliage areas. Still brush technique, doesn't matter which side you use the brush. I'm coming to the end of this watercolour sketch here. I filled in the pine tree areas with a variety of colours, using very much the same techniques as I've shown you on the way, the back of the brush as well, for the uprights of the trunks and things, and finished off with a broad grass area in the front. I want to create a little bit of recession in these trees here on the left, so I'll put a layer of pale blue to suggest distant trees, and then I will use a more intense colour in the foreground for some stronger trees, which will give the illusion that they are closer to you. I'm at the point here in the sketch where I want to finish up with a little bit more tone, which I will place across the sky and along the sides of the sketch, and this extra tone will add further interest to the finished result.
hope you've enjoyed spending some time here with me this morning, carrying out this watercolour painting sketch. It's a lot brighter than I usually do, but the autumn colours just inspire you to put it all in there. So anyway, I'm quite happy with it. It'll be used to give me a resource for a larger painting, and I think we call it a day. If you enjoyed it, you can always have a little look at some of my other videos, and there'll be a link to follow. Also check out my website for examples of fuller finished paintings. Bye!